Hi, this is the intro. My name's Howard, but I actually go by the name of Lee when I'm online. It's a historical thing from when we had a business. This is basically the intro. At the moment I live on a narrowboat, and I've done for about, I think this is my 7th year. But after, wasn't a particularly bad winter, but getting on a bit in time and thinking I should be somewhere warmer in winter than on a narrowboat. So after 7 years on a narrowboat, knowing everything about it, got it in ship shape, I've decided to move to Cambodia. Why did I choose Cambodia? Well, I was doing costings on the boat and I thought there must be somewhere else to live. And I'm probably going to end up spending as much money on air conditioning in Cambodia as I do on heating in England. So what's the difference? Plus the fact that I looked on the internet, I was looking on the internet the costs of various things and looked at countries. One of the things that made me decide on Cambodia was the ease of entry. As long as I'm over 55, which obviously am. I'm not saying how old I am, you'll probably find out anyway. So, yeah. So all I've got to do is get a visa and an over 55 retirement. So why choose Cambodia? Well, England to me at the moment is absolute rubbish. They're restricting our movement by basically this EV agenda, which is the biggest load of rubbish I've ever seen in my life. There is not a scientist in the government that's capable of making a proper decision. To spend an hour trying to charge a car if you want to go long journey is just ridiculous. I'd agree with you that probably electric cars, electric vehicles are good if you're only going to travel into a local town. Park, da. So the government's rescinded on its promise of low costs, and unless you can charge at home, then you're going to have to pay quite a lot of money for your electricity. Varying about, I don't know, 80 or 90p a kilowatt hour. And okay, that's all right if you've got a home charger, you can charge at a cheap rate. But now if you have to use a public charger and springing up all over the show, plus the fact that you can't always get in them. They may be full. So you've got this range anxiety. Who wants that? Just buy a cheap diesel car or whatever and just fill it up, get 300 miles, 400 miles, whatever, and away you go. No range anxiety. You can fill up in 5 minutes at numerous petrol stations up and down the country. Goodness knows what's going to happen to them. We haven't seen anything really about that, about all these petrol stations that are eventually going to close when they ban the diesel and petrol cars. It's just laughable. It really is. It's chronic and laughable. The depreciation on an electric car, an electric vehicle is immense. More than half the cost of the car is in the battery. How long do you get out of a battery? 10 years? I used to have a Mercedes. It was 20 odd years old. And it was petrol. And I was still getting 28, 29 miles per gallon out of it. What was wrong with that? But I got rid of that before I killed somebody. Because you get to a certain age and your reaction times slow down. And people who think they don't, they're wrong. They do. They slow down. Look at sportsmen. They slow down. It happens to everybody. And I do see people, I've given my licence up, but I do see people who are still driving in the 80s, 90s. And to be really honest, they are quite dangerous. So I just said, I'm just getting rid of the car. I live on a boat. I've got a bus pass. I don't need the car. Why spend all that money? And if I now look at what it would cost me to tax my Mercedes, it's in the thousands of pounds per year. And I use it once a week. That's just ridiculous. It's a luxury. And I've been driving since I was 17. I was driving motorbikes from 16. Well, I was driving cars and motorbikes at 13, but not legally. But legally, since I was 17, 16, 17. And I used to love driving. I haven't been without a car for 60 years. Oops. Didn't think of my age away then, nearly. But it's just crazy. I've got a power drill, and I've got a power saw, and I've got a power jigsaw and a power circular saw. And I can change the battery into those 30 seconds. And I've got 2 batteries, and I can have one on charge, one not, and just swap them over as and when necessary. Can you do that in a car? No, you can't. Why not? Because they didn't design it properly. What they should have done was said, right, we'll make 3, just every car manufacturer, you've got to go electric from whatever the year is now, it may change. And why didn't they just say, look, you're allowed 3 sizes of battery, small, medium and large, let's say. So for your large car, done. And all these battery packs have got to be removable by a forklift truck. So you drive into a battery storage place who's got a battery charged up ready for you. You drive in, they take your old battery out, they put the new one in, they charge you the money for whatever, for the electric and a small charge extra for their services. And away you go. That's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm sure that most EV owners and long journeys would put up with 10 minutes out of their life instead of having to go to a service station or a service area, plugging the car in, and most of these aren't covered either by awning, so it's raining, you're stuck, you're going to get wet. Right? But you go there, what do you do for an hour? You go and buy a coffee. There's always a cost of coffee. Cost of coffee, cost a bomb. When you go to Wetherspoons, you get a coffee for £1.59 or whatever it is, and it's automatically free refills. You go to Costa Coffee, Costa Bomba Coffee, and it's £4 something, and you don't get free refills. And is the coffee any better? I've tried it. Not really. Not to that extent. So you take your choice. Right? So what I've done is I've got rid of the car, got a bus pass, and that's it. I pay nothing. I go to Ormskirk out of I'm on Scaresbrick Marina at the moment. So I go to Ormskirk. I pay nothing on the bus. Right? It's only once, it's every hour. As long as I've got my planning right, I can catch the bus. Catch the bus back, do a little bit of shopping in Aldi, or any supermarket you choose in Ormskirk. It's up to you. Get the bus back, unload, sit on the boat. I've got solar on the boat. In summer that costs nothing in electricity. In winter it does cost, yes, of course it does. And fuel costs. I've got a multi-fuel stove, which I've got to buy coal for in winter. Yes, I agree. It's not the cheapest thing to live, but it's still a lot cheaper than a house. So it's a no-brainer. Anyway, so to get back to the point. So, in my opinion, what's happening is that the government in England or in Britain or wherever are restricting the movement. And what do you do when you live in a flat and you need electric charging on your car? You can't do it. It's not possible. You don't run multiple leads across the bloody road, can you? And they've tried to come up with all sorts of solutions. And the easy solution is to have a battery replacement service. Anyway, that's me, finished on the EVs. So why did I go to Cambodia? Right. Okay, so the weather in England is good in summer. Not so good in winter. It's not bad. The big problem with me is in winter is the low hours of light. We're getting 6 hours. You can't do anything in 6 hours. It's cold outside. You're stuck on a boat. You're fueling the fire. That's why I make videos. That's why I love computing. That's why I love messing about. It's just one of those things. I've got to have something to do. Now, when I go to Cambodia, which I'm going to get onto in a minute, I've got 12 hours of daylight, 6 till 6. It's that near the equator. It's basically 6 till 6. In Cambodia, there are 2 seasons. There's the 5 months of the wet season, which is May to November, allegedly. It's not guaranteed, but it's roughly about that. And then you've got the hot season. So you have 2 seasons, hot and hotter. And it's a standing joke amongst expats, and that's what it is. But I'll have to cope with that. And, as I said earlier in the video, I would spend as much on air conditioning as I would on fuel. So what? Might as well. Plus, I'll have the money off the sale of the boat. Plus, I'll live like a king. My intentions are to move to Cambodia and just live off my pension, off my UK pension. When I got my pension in the UK, I actually took a lump sum out of it, which you're allowed to do because I deferred it. So I've got a reduced pension, but it still works out at over $1,100 a month. Now I can get an apartment in Siem Reap where I'm going to initially. I may move later on to a nicer place if I don't like it, or a worse place if I don't like it. I don't know. But you've got to. One thing I've learned through life is that procrastination is a thief of time. Unless you actually decide to do something, it won't happen. So you've got to make that decision. So perhaps stupidly in hindsight, I booked a flight, and it's quite a long flight. It's a 22-hour flight because there's no direct flight from Manchester, where I want to go from, to Cambodia. So I've actually booked a flight in November from Manchester to Chiang Airport in Singapore, then from Singapore to Siem Reap Airport. Then I have to get a taxi into Siem Reap itself, a tuk-tuk or a taxi, or catch the bus or whatever. I've booked 2 nights in a hotel, which I can extend, and there's loads of accommodation in Siem Reap apparently, and it's the least thing I should worry about is finding accommodation. I'll have roughly a fair amount of money. Two monies in Cambodia. Big stuff is paid by dollar, American dollar, US dollar. It's tied into the local currency, which is the real, when there are 4,000 real to $1. A $1 in pounds is about 80 pence, about the same as a euro. So learn your 8 times table if you're doing nothing else, or whatever it is at the time you're thinking of coming. Just look up the dollar rate and use that. It may alter, but learn that times table. So for $1, I just times my 8, so it's 80 pence. $1 is 80 pence to me. So if I look at the meal prices in Siem Reap, $3 is £2.40. 3 8 is 24. £2.40. I can live with that. I'm on $1,100 a month. I'm going to pay $250 to $300 for my accommodation. That's either 240 quid a month at the top end, or 200 is 160 at the bottom end. I can go cheaper than that, but I don't really need to. Still gives me $900 to play with. $900 is quite a lot of money, considering that a tuk-tuk in Siem Reap will cost maximum $2 to go from one side to the other. I can cope with that. Food is cheap. Western food is not so cheap because it's got to be imported. I'm not sure I like the Western food, the Eastern food, the Asian food, but we'll see. We can only try, and I'm sure I can get used to it. I'm sure I can. I mean, I've lived on a boat for 7 years, basically. No friends when I came here, and I've made a few friends. I don't need a lot of friends. I'm quite happy with my own company, and I'm lucky in that way. Some people need to be near other people. I don't. I can just be as I am, and that's fine with me. I do like other people's company, but not constantly. I don't want somebody living in my pocket. I don't really want to be in a situation where every decision is a compromise. I can make my own decisions. It's easy. I just decide what I'm doing, and that's it. And as I said, procrastination is a thief of time. And my dad was a great purveyor of that saying, if you're going to do something, do it. So anyway, the daft thing I've probably done is I've booked a flight, and it's in November. Now the problem with it is that selling a boat in November is not the easiest thing to do. So what I've decided to do is that the boat is now up for sale with the brokerage through the marina. Who put it on Apollo Duck and also on their own website. It's up to you what you use. And if it sells early, they'll just forget that flight in November that I booked and book another one earlier and just give that one up. And the flights to Cambodia do vary quite a lot in price depending on season. At the moment in Cambodia, it's known as the rainy season. And there's a big lake in Cambodia called Sonsi Lap or something. And that roughly triples in size in rainy season. And you get the floating villages and you get certain bits of flooding and what have you. And they have 5 months of that. Still 31 degrees, mind you. It's not like freezing. It's still hot. It's just wetter. And climate change is affecting climates all over the world, not just in England. And we're only a tiny speck on the globe, as is Cambodia. It's only a tiny place. But the thing that draws me to it is that it's relaxed, it's laid back. People are smiley. They've been through a lot of troubles. They're trying to pull the country around. They're trying to educate their children. The one thing I will say against it is it's probably corrupt. I'm not saying it is because I don't know, but I suspect that it is. I suspect it's as corrupt as we are. I mean, just to quickly go back to EVs, right? You've got Starmer Smith spouting about the EV and the zero carbon. They're still driving around in Range Rovers, aren't they? And they'll say, oh, we've got to have these because we need the bulletproof protection. Well, perhaps they should just do without the bulletproof protection and be honest. And they're all professional politicians. At one time, people used to come out of businesses to run governments. They had a sense of business. They had the Dickens prophecy. Earn a pound, don't spend a pound and a penny, ever. Earn a pound, spend 99p, fine. But not governments these days. They just love spending money. Oh, we'll make things better. Oh, we'll just borrow money off the International Monetary Fund. I wouldn't like to know how much in debt we are and how we're paying an interest on these loans we've got out. But it's horrendous. A poor country, and Cambodia is poor, very poor. The average wage of a shop worker or a bar worker is about $200 a month, which is absolutely nothing. And yet they live, and they live happily. And their philosophy of life is that. They went through a terrible time with Pol Pot. They went through terror. A third of the male population was just wiped out. That's why they don't have any old males. There are very few old males in Cambodia. And it's a weird situation. And yet, they're trying to get around it. And they do. The beauty of it is they don't really seem to talk about politics, and they don't talk about religion very much. Now, it's a Buddhist country, and they do stick to Buddhism. Whether they call Buddhism a religion or a spiritualism is up to you. I'm not bothered. I will not get involved in either of those arguments. I don't do politics and I don't do religion, and I don't intend to. I have no agenda. I'm originally a scientist, so I have a scientific agenda, which is why I'm anti-EV, anti-carbon zero. I mean, it's exasperating. If EV owners who follow the political agenda of this country, England, call it what you will, if they followed that political agenda, then they haven't even touched the surface. Why don't they look at where the dirty nickel comes from? Indonesia is full of nickel mines, and it's killing people. Mining nickel from batteries, for EV batteries. I'm not even going to go into the cobalt and the lithium, but you can research that yourself. But mining this stuff is killing people, just like that. And nobody gives a bugger. Has Starmer Smith actually watched any videos on dirty nickel? I bet he hasn't. He just follows what he calls his advisors. And there's no scientists there. None of one. Even our chief medical officer during COVID didn't really come across as well as he should have done. Not to a scientist himself, as I am. I've got a degree in chemistry. And it didn't come across. The guy's just talking crap, basically. So that's me finished. The next video I'm going to make will be in 2 weeks' time. Because that's what I've set myself. One every 2 weeks. I may get quicker. These take a long time. This is my first one. And it's not easy getting the equipment right. If anyone wants to know the equipment, I'll put a list in the comments or on them. I think you can put your first post and it always comes top. So I'll put it there. But basically I'm shooting on an Osmo Pocket 3. Because it's easy. And I'm used to it, and I've worked it out, and I'm used to a lot of the features now. I'll learn more as I go along, but there it is. So I'll see you in a fortnight's time, or thereabouts. I may get quicker, I may be slower, I don't know. I can't predict the future. If the sun starts shining, I just want to be out in the sun. Sorry. Luckily, this morning it's been raining in the north of England, not in the south, but in the north. We're only 700 miles long or whatever, and yet we can have 4 different weathers in 4 different parts of the country. Ridiculous. Anyway, so bye for now. All my love to you all. Everybody asks you to subscribe and like. It's up to you. I will tell you this though, that if I do get monetized, and I need 1,000 subscribers to do that, and so many hours of video watching or whatever. If I do get monetized, I don't need the money. I really don't. I shall give it to the Cambodian charities. I won't give it to children on their own because that has a negative effect and it keeps them out of school. I've watched enough videos on YouTube and other places to know that. So it won't go there. It'll go to proper charities who are actually teaching Cambodians proper life skills, proper ways to earn money, proper ways to work, and get a good education. And that's what the country needs. And it doesn't need bar girls like Thailand. It doesn't need all this crap. It just needs to be a safe and honest country. And if it stays that way, and I'll do my best to make it that way, then that's fine by me. So it's bye-bye for now. And there may be 1 person watching this. Maybe 2, I don't know. But you 1 or you 2 or you 100, I don't know. You're all my number 1 fans. Remember that. Well, you're my only fans. So, bye-bye for now.